Are you looking for the best PS5 gaming controller? In this video we will look at some of the 6 best PS5 gaming controller on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Sony DualSense. Shocking, right? The best PS5 controller is the one that comes packaged with the console. It may seem obvious, but the DualSense isn't just a standard first-party gamepad. It's heaped with features that make it the ideal PS5 controller for most players and a genuinely impressive new-gen gamepad in its own right. Plus, all of the colors and variations released over the years provide plenty of options for personalizing your setup. The DualSense bespoke haptic feedback, which supports more versatile and tactile vibration, has already been used to great effect by developers. As anyone who's felt the dapples of falling rain across their hands in Returnal or pulses of rumble during cinematic bouts in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will tell you. And once you've had a go on the adaptive triggers that change resistance in response to gameplay, you'll struggle to pick up a controller without them. It helps, of course, that the hardware is superb. Buttons and bumpers travel smoothly, and the whole gamepad's built with exactly the kind of premium feel and finish you'd expect from official Sony hardware. Problems of stick drift, an issue common to virtually all first-party gamepads, and mediocre battery life aside, the DualSense is a brilliant controller that neatly demonstrates what the PS5 is capable of and also works great as a Steam Deck controller. It helps that it comes in at an affordable price too, so you can spend your savings on some great game deals. Number 2. Sony DualSense Edge. Sony's Pro PS5 controller, the DualSense Edge is the souped-up superior sibling to the DualSense. It packs a bunch of features that players of competitive multiplayer games will find particularly useful. On the back are 2 paddles, positioned within comfortable reach of your index and middle finger. The tops of the analog sticks can be swapped out for taller or shorter heights, and the triggers can be set to travel in short strokes, useful for twitchy shooters, to long strokes that make full use of their adaptive functionality. Every button is remappable and the analog stick dead zones can be adjusted. Though more impressive is how easily these custom settings can be changed. A quick hold of the added function buttons will let you cycle through your 4 custom mapping profiles, or adjust them on the fly. Better yet, the analog stick modules can be fully removed and replaced, meaning any possible future stick drift won't render the controller a glorified paperweight. Don't expect much from the DualSense Edge's battery though. It's even worse than the original DualSense, and only manages around 10 hours before needing a charge. Even less if you're playing a game that makes full use of haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. Number 3. Victrix Pro BFG. If you want maximum customization, you'll want to check out the Victrix Pro BFG. Its modular design allows you to arrange its face buttons in the traditional PlayStation layout, the offset Xbox arrangement, or remove one half entirely to make room for a fight pad. Add to that a generous 5 levels of trigger adjustments, for particularly well-placed remappable back buttons, a clutch of alternate stick caps and gates, and even the handy option to remap profiles just using button shortcuts, once you've committed them to memory. And the DualSense Edge looks a little lean by comparison. It's designed first and foremost for competitive players of fighting games and shooters who want to tailor their gamepad just so. And a tournament lock feature handily deactivates the system buttons to avoid any accidental presses. But this isn't a new-gen controller by any means. It lacks adaptive triggers and doesn't feature rumble of any kind, let alone haptic feedback. The Victrix Pro BFG is solely for those who want a competitive edge. Number 4. Razer Wolverine V2 Pro Wireless. Don't be fooled by the Razer Wolverine V2 Pro's ugly rectangular shape. This third-party controller has a few impressive tricks up its sleeve. The main one being a big battery that lasted for close to 30 hours before needing a charge when we turned off the controller's RGB lighting effects. That's no mean feat, and far superior to the battery life of Sony's standard DualSense. Elsewhere, 2 extra bumpers have been squeezed between the usual shoulder buttons. They aren't nearly as odd to reach for as they may first seem and can be remapped along with the 4 rear paddles positioned down the spine of the controller, although those paddles are unfortunately a bit of a stretch. On the front, meanwhile, a mute microphone button has been placed in the center, and has us wondering why more controllers haven't adopted this handy shortcut. You might like its Xbox-style asymmetric button layout, but the Wolverine V2 Pro also differs from the PlayStation rubric in a less welcome way. It doesn't feature adaptive triggers or haptic feedback, just standard vibration. That's something to consider if you play a lot of Sony games that often put those features to good use. Although the price point is fairly high, there's currently a discount on this controller happening on Amazon as part of early Prime Day deals that brings that price way down. Number 5. Nacon Revolution V Pro. The standout feature of the Nacon Revolution V Pro is its immunity to stick drift, an irritating mechanical fault whereby a controller will register inputs that aren't being made by the player. Depending on the severity of the problem, it can render a controller all but unusable, and has become a particular sticking point among some PS5 players who have complained of their DualSense controllers quickly falling foul. The Revolution V Pro avoids the problem altogether. The nifty Hall effect sensors in its analog sticks, which use magnetic fields to detect inputs rather than physical contact points that risk wearing down with time, aren't susceptible to stick drift, so you can rest easy that your fancy new controller won't be rendered an expensive paperweight anytime soon. Of course, $199 is a hefty price to pay for peace of mind over a hardware issue that manufacturers should already be doing more to address. But the Revolution V Pro just about justifies its price tag with the usual glut of pro controller add-ons. A wide range of alternate analog stick sizes and heads, 2 rear buttons, that admittedly feel a touch too sensitive to my fingers, and trigger locks. It's all pretty standard, if made slightly more premium by the gamepad's nicely textured, grippy finish. The controller also omits haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, although that might be a small price to pay if you've been burnt by the DualSense uncooperative sticks in the past. Number 6. Victrix Pro FS. Pro controllers don't get much more premium than this. Victrix has made no compromises with the Pro Arcade FS, designing a fight stick that's lag-free, customizable, and tournament-ready. The 8 face buttons and joystick are all Sanwa components, one of the more popular Switch manufacturers among fight stick aficionados, that feel nicely responsive with a slight, audible click. Even the fight stick's smaller touches, like the gentle slope on its front face that allows you to comfortably rest your wrist, nudges the Pro Arcade FS above its competitors. And its rounded aluminum finish is sleeker than the chunky plastic boxes of other flight sticks without being overly heavy. At only 3.4 kilograms, this is a fairly light box. If you really want to go to town, you can open the bottom of the device to swap in new switches and joysticks. But even out of the box, this is a fight stick a rung above its competitors. The PlayStation first design, including a string of function and menu buttons that allows you to easily interact with the console's menus, is just the cherry on top on one of the best fight sticks.